Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Juan Epstein. Guess who's here, Syph?
Some white guy from Europe.
Yep, that's DeVita. He's from Europe. And
What's up?
And the legend Mannie Fresh is here.
Elvis
Oh!
Mannie Davis Jr.
Back then, when you were probably getting into it, too, it was borderline predating where we thought of producers. Like, you were probably really thinking of yourself, what year did you start DJing?
I started DJing in the early 80s. I would say probably like 82, 83. My first record that I made was in 87, 88.
So the known producer, like, of course, there were the Marleys and people knew, but it wasn't the way it was in the mid-90s
Exactly.
where it was like producers. So you were
Exactly.
just started fucking around with a sampler? You're like a built-in sampler or something?
Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but I had an understanding of how music went, like the structure of it or whatever from my dad or whatever. So I started messing around with drum machines, started copying bass lines or whatever. And we always had like a crazy keyboard. Like we had a Moog or something like that was in my house. And I was just like, fascinated by twisting envelopes and knobs and filters. Like, what would it do? And so I started learning the bass lines on songs and started playing them over or whatever and freaking them with a drum beat or whatever, not knowing that was the beginning of
producing.
That's producing.
That's so funny. Syph's the exact opposite. Syph wanted to be a producer, so he thought he had to be a DJ in order to be a producer.
Well, the cool thing is, if you, I guess, listen to Mannie Fresh music, it's from a DJ perspective. Most of my songs are, they
start with a 4 count.
Exactly.
They have like the build up, like
exactly, and they designed to make you
always
dance.
tell a DJ beats because they know how to start a song like a DJ would need it to start.
Exactly, and it's designed like most of them are designed to make you dance. Like, it's like, what would you do if you was a DJ? That's the whole perspective that I take on producing. I'm like, I just don't want the dance floor to be dead. So, I'm
same as Swiss Beats, Lil Jon, all the same concept.
That's true. So were you really just DJing predominantly and doing beats here and there all the way through the late 80s and early 90s? Were you mostly just a DJ? That was your...
I was probably mostly just a DJ, and to compete with like rival DJs, I started bringing my 808 and my keyboard to my gigs.
Who were the rival DJs back
Like
then?
you had this group, New York Incorporated, that I joined, that was in New Orleans, but at first it was kind of like a rival. We had groups like Sugar Hill or whatever, the Disco Clowns. Like we had a whole bunch. Like, because if somebody say disco, it was the first era of hip hop.
Absolutely.
You know
if
what I'm
disco's
saying?
in it, forget it.
We had like rival groups, and I was like, you know what? How do I kill them? Like, how do I, mash them? And the first time I seen like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, like some old footage, Flash was on his drum machine, and they was doing Flash to the beat, like, to the drum machine before it was even recorded. So that's where I got the idea of like, hey, if I bring my drum machine to the gig, this is going to kill it, like, So that took on the whole little thing of like, oh, I got the drum machine, I got the keyboard, I'm playing bass lines the way I want to do them or whatever, and it just took on this whole thing in New Orleans where it was just like, oh, well, it's this thing that Mannie Fresh do that nobody else ain't doing.
See, this always upsets me, Syph.
What's that?
Hearing about amazing things that not only happened at a time I was 5 years old for, but also to find out all these cool things that happen in markets and cities that I never was even thinking about what was happening there. Like to know how many stories there are in each city of probably awesome people. Some who became notable like Mannie and some who never made it who were super talented too.
Yeah.
That's all because of the super New York bubble in hip hop at the time where the record companies were in New York, maybe a little LA, and all the records were coming from. They're not going to go search for talent down there when there's talent knocking at your door.
So what was the first thing that launched you into like the music game?
The first thing I think I was probably doing intern stuff in the studio or whatever. Nothing related to music or whatever, sweeping, cleaning up or whatever. And some cats happened to come in there from California. And somebody just mentioned that, dude is a DJ or whatever. And it was just like, well, could you scratch on a record? And it was like a super whack record, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but I put some scratches on the records, and the dude was like, well, do you know how to program drums? And I was like, yeah. So what's crazy is the first song that I actually ever programmed drums on was a country song. It was after the session with me doing the little scratching stuff. The dude who owned the studio was like, if you can program drums, I got a session coming in here and the drummer not going to make it. So it was like if you, so the first song was like a country song.
What, some indie country song?
Yeah, like some old indie country song or whatever, and it's just some old one beat, song, just a boom, clap, and I was like, oh, that's easy. That's all y'all want, And from there on, it was just like, hey, whenever somebody came to that studio.
You were utility man in the studio.
Exactly.
So then what? Did someone eventually come in the studio who turned out to be someone?
The guy who I did the scratching for eventually asked me if I knew any rappers that was in New Orleans. And I was like, I know this kid, Gregory D. And that was like one of the first records that I put out. That was in the 80s. So I went get this dude out the neighborhood, came back, and they gave us a shot at doing the record.
Gregory D.
Yeah.
What's the record?
Gregory D, probably Freddie's Back. I think that's the name of it. And it was just something that we made off of, Freddie Krueger or whatever. Oh. And that was like...
We loved Freddie as a reference in hip-hop back in the day.
That was in the 80s.
Ooh, was Freddie popping as a reference in the 80s.
Yeah.
Gregory D and DJ Mannie Fresh, Freddie's Back. I want you to know on YouTube this has 44 views.
Oh, yeah. Nobody don't even know about that, dude.
Let's get a little taste. You already love that electro Mantronic sounding shit. Are you ad-libbing on it too, or?
Yeah, I did like ad-lib, scratching the program, all of that.
Tough. It's not bad. This shit's pretty good.
44 views. Towards the fence though, on Discogs it's pretty expensive. I spent like $300 on the 12-inch, so it's expensive.
You spent? Oh wow.
On this?
That 12-inch?
Yeah.
Hold on. You have this 12-inch?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from
Germany?
Italy and Germany. Yeah.
See,
No, we're from Europe. We know it.
I know you guys go fucking in.
Yeah,
like I think I know my shit. He has the
I bought
record.
mad records in Germany.
This shit's crazy. $300 you said for this?
Yeah. That's what they charge.
And for the record,
What label is it?
Maybe I got screwed over, but
it was.
Oh, here's the record. It's this red label.
Yeah, D&D, I think.
D&D. It's called D&D. That's wild. All right, so that gets successful to people.
Yeah, and in our area, from far as like in the South, that song was big, dude.
You get any money off it?
No, I ain't make no money off it. We didn't even know that.
You do any shows? Y'all do shows?
We did tons of shows.
Make money, right?
Yeah,
but you made money from shows, though.
But we didn't know nothing about royalties, publishing, and none of that. You know what I'm saying? Because we was kids that was doing what we love.
Yeah, here, talk closer because I'm going to be mad loud and you're going to be quiet. Okay, so then what happens?
I mean, around
you and Gregory
that time,
D are popping. And
around that time, this kid from right here, Mantronics, start banging out songs. And he's doing amazing things with 808s and snare rolls and hi-hats, triplets and 16s. And New Orleans fell in love with the dude Mantronics. Like anything that had to do with Mantronics during the 80s and the 90s, New Orleans was on it.
So was New Orleans, you think, like Mantronic's biggest market? Like he was like...
Yeah. New Orleans was a lot of artists, T-La Rock, I would say probably anything that was kind of electro, the Showboys.
Showboys.
Yeah.
That's the record I keep always tell you about that T.I. just used with Lil Wayne on it.
Yes.
Yeah. That song is so huge in New Orleans.
They from here.
And they from here. They from
New
York.
That shit just is a South banger.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Juvenile
Anything
used
that
it
came,
too.
yeah, anybody from the
Man,
South, then Trigger Man.
Trigger Man,
Anybody
yeah.
from the South, then use that. Like, some kind of way.
That's like when you go to throw on, like, you know, when you go to rap in New York, you throwing in Peach. Down in the South, they might throw on, like, Showboys.
Wow. All right, so Mantronic starts popping off, and you're thinking, this is my sound right here.
Yeah, like, I fell in love instantly, like, what Mantronics was doing or whatever, you know, and that's probably, like, I would say my biggest influence, like, as a producer or whatever. And once I heard him, like, do triplets and all of that and the hi-hat rolls or whatever and all of that, I just instantly started mimicking that. Like, you know, and it just evolved into, like, hey, that Mannie Fresh thing or whatever. But it was actually, like I said, New Orleans.
Is that where Mannie Fresh comes from?
Yeah, I would say Mannie Fresh probably my biggest influence is Mantronics.
Where's your name come from?
Oh, my name is just old school from the 80s. I was, Dougie was around or whatever. I was like, you know what, I got to be a Fresh.
What's your name, though?
What's your real name?
Oh, my real name is Byron. But Mannie came from my dad, from my mannish ways and some things that I had going on.
You thought you were like a man-child?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so then what's the next record you do?
The next record after this, I mean, me and this dude Greg did a couple of songs. We
Okay.
had a nice little run, probably for like about 10 years.
Albums?
Yeah, albums. Like we did 2 albums
David, you got the albums?
after this.
Just a single.
Too expensive.
Okay.
Ran out of money.
They came out on vinyl. You dropped
Yeah,
albums.
they
Wow.
came out on vinyl, like, you know what I'm saying? And after that, Bounce came along, this whole little thing. And Bounce
Little thing. That's what you call
Bounce
it.
came along from the Showboys, like what you said. It was this 808 break from this New York song, you know what I'm saying, called Drag Rap. And DJs flipped the instrumental, flipped the vocal side over to the instrumental, started using it like the essence of hip hop, just like a break beat. And it was like call and response, whatever MC was nice over that song. Then somebody recorded it, this dude T.T. Tucker. You know, we was doing it before it was actually recorded. But when he recorded it, it went wow. So the first generation of Cash Money was all Bounce records. I run into these dudes, and it's this group UNLV, and they
You run into
nice.
who? Cash Money?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But they got group signed, but it's all the wrong music.
And hold on, and who is there at that point? Is it Baby and Slim?
Yeah. But
Just the two of them?
Just the 2 of them. And they got this group, UNLV, but it's pretty much all the wrong music. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So this
It was
has to
just
be
like-
around like 90, 91 or something,
Yeah,
right? Because if they're
probably
called
around that
UNLV, that means UNLV was popping at the time.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so and the music's like what? Just kind of weird?
It was more like rap catered, and that wasn't what was going on in New Orleans at the time. Bounce was going on like crazy. Like that was the beginning of it. That's all people wanted to hear. So soon as it's like I get with UNLV, my first little gig with them, we do this song and it just go nuts.
How did they find you? How did
Just from DJing all
they
over
just
New
knew?
Orleans.
So you were
Yeah.
popping. So
Yeah.
so Slim and Baby, these are guys who are getting into the game and they're aware that you're doing your thing.
Yeah. Like I pretty much DJ'd every house party in New Orleans, every club at that time.
You're
Like,
from
you
a
know what I'm
different
saying?
neighborhood though, right?
Yeah, I'm from downtown New Orleans. They from uptown.
Uptown, yeah.
So you try this thing with UNLV. Did you come in and produce for them and try
Yeah.
to switch up the style a little
Yeah.
bit? And did it work?
Yes.
And so
The
UNLV
first generation of Cash Money was all Bounce. It wasn't like, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people would because it was on a larger scale, think that Juvenile, you know, me, myself, or whatever was the first generation. Cash Money was around 10 years before Juvenile even came into play.
I knew that.
No, but it's
Because
so-
even because early Master P, you could hear like the little beef shit.
But it's so wild to think about where we are now, where Wayne is, right? And
Yeah.
to take that all, and where Baby is, and to go all the way back and realize it's 10 years earlier than the first time that a lot of people knew about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that was a while ago already. Y'all's first run was already 15 years ago.
I mean, you know, a lot of kids will, I guess, identify Wayne from the first Carter because that's where life started and they first time falling in love with hip hop, not knowing that
there's
this
been a
kid
long
has
time.
been doing songs probably 10, 15 years before that.
For that. So who else was involved with any other artists in the first run besides
First
UNLV?
run, it was like UNLV, this dude Pimp Daddy, Lil Slim.
I just wanted to hear these names, honestly. I knew they would be awesome.
Let me see, Magnolia Shorty. You know, even Magnolia Slim, like, you know what I'm saying, the guy who everybody know him as Soldier Slim or whatever. But the first generation was pretty much a lot of the artists that kind of turned into rap artists later on or whatever. Started out as bounce artists.
Was Baby rapping then?
No, mm-mm,
Just
that kinda
background.
Yeah, just bankrolling.
What about was there no limit at the time?
No, wasn't a no limit. And the crazy thing was the whole culture in New Orleans, like the DJs pretty much ran the city. You had KLC who went on to be a producer.
Beats by the Pound.
Yeah, Beats by the
Yeah.
Pounds. Me and KL DJ'd in clubs all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? We pretty much had the clubs on lock. You had people, you know, like I said, first generation of Mystical, he came from the army or whatever, wherever he was, and KL put him on.
Yeah.
Then later on, somebody signed him, and 4 years later, now it's big, you know what I'm saying? But Mystical was making songs way before, you know, anybody else heard him.
Burn. Before that,
Yeah.
So did anything super duper pop from the first generation and get anything
Yeah.
national, or it all just stayed really New Orleans?
A lot of people think Cash Money Deal was based on Juvenile, like, you know, but it wasn't based on Juvenile. It was based on the Big Timers. The Big Timers was independent, and we was doing like 200, 300, you know, thousand before Universal even stepped in. And it was just like, we see the numbers, what y'all doing. So the first song that we put out was already 200,000 in.
What was that called?
That was the Big Timers album. We redid it on
Which album?
Universal.
Oh.
It was what was the name of our first album? Dude, that's crazy.
Stumped you. Who knew? Who knew that would be the one? I didn't think that was what it was.
Yeah.
You
But
remember fucking Magnolia Slim and
Yeah.
Pimp Daddy,
So-
but you don't remember the name of your first album.
I don't remember, dude. You know how many I got a lot of albums up under.
I'm gonna find out. Don't worry.
Okay.
So this started
But to make a long story short,
Yeah.
this album was already like 200. So when we get with Universal, it goes 300, and technically it's gold. You know what I'm saying? So they like, oh wow, this is perfect. Next thing we do was Juvenile, 400 Degrees. When 400 Degrees came out, that just solidified it.
You're welcome.
People was just like, oh, okay, we get it. Cause for a second it was just like, okay, we don't get it. Like it's just two dudes who really don't rap and they just talking, some flamboyant, super fly, ghetto trash. But when the dude Juvie came out, it just was like, okay, it's more than just that.
Was it How You Love That?
Yeah.
How You Love That. It says, according here, and I'm guessing this is when it came out bigger with Universal, it says March 17th, 98. Does that sound right?
Yeah, sound about right.
That's probably with the re-release, though.
Yeah,
Not
that was
the
the
first.
re-release.
There wasn't a release date when it was out the truck.
No.
It was just out the truck. And you guys were pressing it up yourselves.
Yes.
Literally parking places and selling it hand to hand.
Hand to hand, out the trunk.
How much could I have gotten a copy of How You Love That for?
For whatever. We was going whatever.
Negotiating.
Yeah, whatever you got, we'll take it.
So at that point, when you guys would sell 200,000 indie, was starting to get a little bit of money then?
Yeah, because, it was hard to do a deal. It was really hard to do a deal because I think that was the better days. Not that I'm saying the Universal thing wasn't a great thing, but I think we were better businessmen because everybody knew where the money was. Everybody had a reason to hustle. Like, if you ain't hustling, you're not eating. So it was like, okay, you could even count your money. Once it got to Universal and you didn't understand,
anymore.
yeah, you can't count it no more.
Yeah, a lot of shit's
But
going
they
on
still get the Universal deal is legendary in the game.
Yeah.
Like, because that label had just kind of started up. They didn't really have much going on. Somehow they hooked up with y'all and basically gave you this deal just because they wanted to be down and get some new music. And they gave you like
Something phenomenal.
a deal that no other
there.
people have
Personally,
that.
I don't understand why they did that because they had a lot going on at the time. For example, I believe they had Rakim, who had that one album that was dope.
It was before that.
Didn't
though, right?
sell. That was right before that. That was before. They had that. I think they had 8 Ball and MJG.
I think,
They didn't.
Herb McGruff,
They had
honestly,
Herb McGruff, of course. That went crazy sales.
Lost Boys.
I could probably tell you why it was like that. On visiting New Orleans, after they seen what we was generating, it was like they don't really need us. And we pretty much made that clear. It was like, we don't need y'all. So it's got to be right.
So the deal was amazing.
Yeah. So it was just like they really
How many
don't-
figures was the first deal?
No, it's not. It's that they
It was the
own-
percentage they gave you.
Yeah.
Everything.
owning and
It's
not
it was-
having to clear shit with the label to put shit out.
Exactly.
So all they did was put it out and
just
make it available.
distribute it.
Yeah,
Distribute
was
it,
a-
made it
was a
available
distri-
everywhere.
It's a distribution deal. You know what I'm saying? I think still
But
to
even
this day.
distribution deals now are not structured like that.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Don't ever do that again," because we get nothing out of it.
But the funny part is that if y'all were truly in the position where you didn't need it, if it's the deal, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
yeah,
But what
for
I'm
them,
saying
especially
is,
because they were trying to
And
get
they didn't have to
billing.
do shit. And they got credibility now because you have the biggest label.
but I think even right now, you kind of see them trends coming back. You see a lot of kids putting out their songs by themselves, going, "Oh, I could do this." And if you gonna buy me out, it's gonna have to be something phenomenal.
Otherwise, why bother? I'll
Yeah.
get a higher percentage myself.
Exactly. You
So
know?
were you involved on the business end at this point, or are you just
Like,
handling the music?
everybody always thought you were part owner in Cash Money. I know everybody.
I thought so too.
I knew it. I knew it.
You know, cause dude, knock on wood, hand on the Bible. A lot of these were my decisions. A lot of these were
Right.
my moves. Going, hey, bro, this is the way we gonna do this. This is how we gonna pursue this.
Right.
Like
'Cause
this
it was
is
all the musical and
Yeah.
creative ideas.
exactly. I'm like, this is how this gonna go, and this is what's ultimately how we gonna get this deal.
Which is like what ideas? Like Hot Boys.
Yeah, like
Like,
it was
all
it was pretty much my idea to say we gonna break all of this down into solo artists. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, we got you as the CEO, we got me as the producer. We gonna make us a mega group. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, when we move, we gonna all move together. We not gonna break this up for nothing.
Cash Money is an army.
All right, so I want to get this. I want to take this moment real quick because we're already learning interesting things. We're going to learn more. Tell me, what made Baby and Slim special besides just having the money? What is it that makes you? Because Birdman, I don't always understand Birdman literally and figuratively, but what is it that makes him the dude that he is?
I think you got a business side of it. You know, you got Slim. That's, I mean, you know, he's just cold. He could calculate almost anything, dude. You know what I'm saying?
So just a smart dude.
Just a smart dude and read you. Now you got Baby who could sell space heaters in hell. You know what I'm saying?
Hustler.
Hustler. It makes you believe.
You know what I'm saying? That makes you believe. You know, and that's I feel like real talk. That's his gift. If he gets an hour with you and he could talk you out your clothes, dude. You know, and that was just dude's gift. From the time I met him, from whatever we was doing, if we was buying cars, if we was doing something, it was always send Baby in there. And if you was going to get one car, you came out with 3. You know what I'm saying?
Where did he get that from? Do you know where he got it from? Like, was it from his pops? Or
I think it was from his pops, his parents, because his parents owned a couple of bar rooms or whatever, and he just had an entrepreneur spirit of, like, you know what I'm saying? And he would always say quotes that his dad said, like, you know what I'm saying? This is the way you get ahead. This is how you hustle or whatever.
Right. Damn, I wish I had a dad.
I know, Syfe. I'm sorry. My dad's just crazy. I copy all his crazy shit. So that's a pretty dope team when you think about it, because you have just the super smart, eyes on everything Slim. You have the hustler, man who can talk anyone to anything in Baby, which is so important. And then you've got Mannie who can make the music. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you got a fucking empire.
Yeah.
And then.
So wait, so you never did a paperwork deal
as a
part owner of Cash Money?
This is what happened. Before we did a deal, we was on just what any other person, any other group of dudes would be on. I'm like, hey, we really didn't need this deal, but money was flowing before we did the deal.
Right.
It was all right.
You was getting your money then.
Yeah. It was kind of like, okay, the 3 of us, if we going from hand to hand, and at the end of this, we put all of this money in a pile, we know what the money is. So you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, if we went out and we went to somewhere like Baton Rouge, let's say that weekend, we sold music. We came back with 30 grand. You know what I'm saying? That's like 10 for you, 10 for Baby, and 10 for Slim.
Right.
And we good. But when it came down to the whole structure of Universal, and when it got to millions and all of that, it just took on a whole nother face. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So, but wasn't that from from early on when the shit started popping, were you already kind of like, you were producing all the music, but knowing you're not getting what you believe is your fair share?
Truthfully, I was in love with what I was doing, dude. I was buried into my drum machine, dude. Right. I was buried into doing music. You know what I'm saying? Just like I said, in love with the whole thing that got to do with hip hop. You know, but trusting that, hey, dude, just handle the business. That's all. Right. I mean, we got this deal. It's structured. Everything good. But as time kept progressing, and I'm watching like, hey, dude, like this not really adding up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, I see, you know, you got 12 whips. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nothing going on over here, but we going to be in the studio Tuesday. So you're going to, you know, sooner or later take a stand and be like, hey, dude, like, fix this.
But you know what always what I thought about with you remind me of Dr. Dre on how, like, Ice Cube left NWA. And Dre was like, you fucking crazy. Yeah. And then a couple years later, he's like, you know what? Cube was right. I'm out. Because Juvenile left or whatever happened with Juvenile, and everybody was like, what the fuck is going on? And didn't you say something about Juvenile?
Yeah,
maybe?
like, you know what I'm saying? Because when dude did that, you know, he kind of, you know, we done talked about it and we good right now. But when he left Cash Money, he kind of lashed out at me without even talking to me. So it kind of put me in a bad vibe with him. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, well, wait, you saying all of this and all of that. And I'm like, I don't even know what's the circumstances of why you left. You just left in the middle of the night, didn't say what's the reason.
What I heard, and I don't know where I heard this. This is all lore from like the Flex dates. Because I believe Cash Money was also managing the artists, so you had to pay them to do shows. Like you would pay Cash Money and then they would pay the artists. But Juvenile was popping off. So he probably wanted more money.
Well, the thing about it, it was self-contained. Everything was self-contained. You know, even though that was wrong, but if you never went to business 101 or whatever,
you don't know,
you don't know that.
Money.
Everything was self-contained with Cash Money. We never really had managers. We never had, I guess, business classes. None of that, you know. So it was just like, okay, somebody say y'all doing a tour. Then nobody had nobody representing them at the time. Nobody was like, well, my man gonna go get my money.
Right.
It was more so of you don't even know what the tour making. You just know what you getting at the end of the show.
Right.
So what's the order then after Big Timers? What came out next?
Juvenile came out next.
What, 400 Degrees?
400 Degrees.
Classic.
Well, that's
After 400 Degrees, you know what I'm saying? I believe like the Hot Boys. Like right after that. And that just kind of introduced you to who the key characters were. And then we start breaking it down into solo albums. Start going, hey, Wayne, you going to get your thing. BG, you going to get your thing. You know, and I just knew the science of what we needed to do to make everybody happen. Like, and the cool thing about the earlier Cash Money, if, say, like even Bling Bling. Bling Bling was a Big Timer song. It wasn't BG's song, but we knew that his album was so gutter, we wasn't going to get the sales that we wanted.
Just moved it.
So we just moved it and like, dude, this is your song because we got to get radio play. Some kind of way we got to clean up your image.
And it worked.
And it worked. You know what I'm saying? And it just, that phrase got coined to something incredible, nuts, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it made like the most street dude in the world, like, you know what I'm saying, for a second, like lovable, like, oh, wow.
That song was so, you don't even think about Bling Bling. Like, I mean, that how much it affected the world is friggin' crazy.
Yeah, it became like a...
It's a word. It's in the friggin' dictionary now, I think.
Is it? Bling Bling?
Yeah, I think Bling is in the dictionary. By the way, my brother just texted me. I told him, just to get him mad, I wrote interviewing Mannie, because my brother's such a big fan. He wrote, his quote from my brother is, tell him Mind of Mannie Fresh is underrated.
Yes, sir.
But here's a question for you guys. Did you actually listen to that kind of stuff at that time? Like you being from New York?
I did.
Yeah?
I was big into the South shit back then.
Y'all were late, though. Don't front. New York was late.
I mean...
Flex was late. Here, I was in D.C., right?
Yeah.
So I was at PGC. I was on WPGC at the time. We were like a huge... That was when we the fact that D.C.'s in the middle was in a play there.
Yeah,
so
this
record,
country Bama ass
exactly,
niggas.
we were country Bamas. So in D.C., those records got huge, and then about 6 months later, it really spread to New York.
Well,
but it was, those songs were, I mean, I thought was the worst record I'd ever heard in my life. Like, I literally saw the video and thought this was a joke. I was like, this is not rap. This is not rap. This is just a dude, he's not rapping. If you say the same word at the end, of course it rhymes. And I don't know how long it lasted, and then one day I was like, this song, is tight. I don't know why it turned. I was like, this shit's amazing. Then Jay jumped on the remix.
Yeah.
And then that was the beginning of it being
welcome.
just like, you pulled that together?
I mean, played it in a tunnel.
Played that record in the tunnel?
I broke those records and Flex was like, what the fuck are these records? I'm like, man, they popping down
Oh,
south.
so let me take that back. Because Flex probably took them 3 months after you. So you were probably at least 3 months before that.
And you got to look at it like this. That was our defining moment to let us know that we have arrived. So we get booked to do the tunnel. And you got all of these New York dudes going, listen, if
you remember
y'all
this
whack,
Yeah, of course.
if y'all whack, they gonna run y'all clean the hell out of here. So we just like, Lord, like what's gonna happen? Like, this is New York,
But
this
people,
the tunnel.
people talk so much shit. And yo, from that conversation, whoever told you that is why Wayne don't fuck with New York
To
today.
this day, right?
From that bullshit, because I tell you, there's 4 industry niggas in the way that's gonna tell you all that bullshit, and the people wanted the fucking music.
Yeah.
And you was listening to, I mean, you didn't know no better. These are people that you trusted
Exactly.
or down with them.
It was people who like,
And
it
they
was record
fucked it
company
all up.
people
To that
who
from
was
then.
just
From
like,
that stupid little, they did that to everybody from out of town, but the people wanted the music.
Of course.
And
Same
when
thing with NWA.
yeah, dude.
Yep.
When the show started and it just was electric, like, you know what I'm saying, and the way New York embraced it, I was like, dude, we arrived. Like, this is where it started at. I'm like, and if you could rock
that's-
these dudes,
And you must have, and for you as like a hip hop geek, you must have been
Yeah.
extra amped up about it.
yeah, dude. Like, I was like, if you could rock these dudes, you could rock anybody.
But that Spanish Juvenile record you put out was,
I love the Spanish record. Do you mean Follow Me Now?
yeah.
I love Follow Me Now.
man, because I had the album.
That was one you didn't like? That was the one I played on my college show.
That's the one I hated. Yo, you had so many.
That was
I played-
another meal, dude. That was
Son.
credited a whole nother meal.
I
wanted Run For It, 400 Degrees.
Honestly,
400 Degrees is one of the greatest hip hop songs ever, yo. I don't
Honestly,
care.
I begged them not to do another album on him yet. I was like, we're not finished with 400
Right,
Degrees.
they try to, but they wanted to rush it.
Yeah, there were more singles on that.
I was like, dude, we're not. It was so many
Yo, that
songs
Juvenile
that
album-
wasn't sang. 400 Degrees itself was never a single.
You know, I
know what I'm
got it
saying?
on bootleg with the instrumental.
So it's just like, dude, like I'm like, come on,
100
man.
Degrees is
I disrespect you for saying this
that
side.
record. I don't know, maybe because I'm Puerto Rican. That record is traca.
I liked it. I still like
God.
it. I still like it.
You gotta give me credit for going, hey, dude, how can we get another meal out of this?
I
Like, I'm
respect
gonna
the
put another
money.
song on here.
I respect the money aspect and the idea.
You're
But
entitled to your own
It's like
opinion.
you
That's-
liked. Which one do you like the most?
that
Run
shit
for it
right
or
there.
this?
Talk rap.
You play
All
that
that.
right now anywhere in the South, you can turn it down and they will sing that whole song.
Run for it. Run for it was my shit. Straight Mantronics.
I be coming up with the Glocks, boy. You can stop, boy. You can hear them off the block, boy. Chimney chop, boy. Up in your cut is where I'm laying.
I want to say though, for me it was interesting. You know, as like a quintessential New York backpacker. I'm from DC, but music wise, a New York backpacker. I'm trying to remember the moment when collectively all of us who had mixed feelings about the Cash Money music were all like, but Mannie Fresh is dope. Because that moment happened.
Consistency, man.
We were just, after a while, after a few, we were like, wait a second, this beat's actually pretty good too. So, yo, who's making these beats? Oh, it's all that dude? Oh, that dude's tight.
The Hot Boy, the We on Fire. Dun, 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 dun. That shit was
Yo,
crazy.
Block is Hot is amazing
Block is
too.
Hot is crazy.
Thank y'all, bro.
You did
Thank
every
thank
one of
you.
them?
Yes,
Everyone.
everyone.
Because that's not common. I mean, even in Wu-Tang, that didn't happen. It
Right.
wasn't RZA did everything.
did
That's not what
everything.
happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is an incredible
And
run.
then I know where it clicked. The big, I don't know, is it Big Timers or what was the other group you had?
Which one?
Did you have another group, Big Timers and?
We had Hot Boys, Big
No,
Timers.
you were in a.
You were only in Big
Oh, the
Time.
dude, Gregory. I was just in the Big Timers.
I guess
That's
it's
it.
Big Timers. What's the record?
Oh, yeah?
No,
Oh, yeah,
not Gator Boots. Not that one. What's the other
That
one?
was a big one.
What's the
That was
other
a
one?
Big Timer song.
I think so. Maybe it was
Number One
Baby.
Stunner.
Well, how's that go?
Number One Stunner was big.
Grr,
I'm the
grr,
number one
grr.
stunner.
Yeah, that song.
That
Yeah.
shit right there.
Number
that
One
beat,
Stunner was huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot the one you just sang was fucking huge too.
Gator Boots.
Yeah. How big was that one? People love that
Oh,
record.
I mean, that was so like on time for Cash Money because that was like right around the time when Juvenile left.
Right.
And the world was like, what they gonna do now? Like it's like the dude has gone. Like they like the number one and
Right,
you know
right. Counted you out.
yeah, so it was just like it's over, lights out, like you know what I'm saying? And
So do you get publishing for these records?
yeah.
Oh,
I
so
own
your-
all the publishing.
So
for
your
all of them.
publishing is good.
Yes.
Well,
But your stake in the company of Cash Money is not.
Well, it's more of my publishing is good, but I still had to fight for that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was one of those you got to go to court for this, and
Right. And you went to court for all
yeah,
that?
and you know what I'm saying. But like I said, right now, it's not bad Mountain Cash Money. My problem is right now that they are still selling my music. You know what I'm saying? And they really feel like, well, we don't have to give you a royalty for that. And I'm like,
But even the ones you rhymed on?
they old catalog is pretty much Mannie Fresh. I've done all of those songs, all of those albums.
And so all you're getting is publishing, not royalties?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's more of, okay.
Well, how is that?
It's more of, because they feel like, because we made a settlement some years back that we don't owe you no money. And I'm like, no, that was then. That was for.
That was to catch up back
yeah,
then.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we clean.
Yeah.
So
now
from
we
this point
clean.
on,
From this point
pay
on,
up.
Exactly.
So here's my question. even if they totally fucked you over and nothing else ever happens, even with you getting the bullshit amount that you got, would you still be good off of that?
yeah.
You'd still be good off of that.
Yeah.
But you want to get what you're
Yeah,
owed.
I feel like as an artist, you should get what's yours. Don't never turn your back on it. There's no such thing as I should just let you walk with that. And you got to look at it. I'm so cool with what's going on with Cash Money, dude. Not a hater. Don't even pump hate. That's great that they moved on or whatever. But I feel like there would be no Cash Money if it wasn't a Mannie Fresh.
Well,
They
that's
don't
pretty
agree?
safe to say. That's pretty.
They disagree with that?
I'm just because it's more of to even have these battles that we having. It's almost dumb to me because it would be like, hey, dude, listen, we know we selling your music here, man. Go about your business.
We're rich. Take some.
Hey, Exactly.
Hold on. So when was the last time? Do you guys ever talk? Have you spoken at all?
I mean, we tried to straighten this out like maybe 2 or 3 times, and it always resort back to like, dude, come on, man. Like, and I'm more so of I'm not a settle type dude no more. I'm like, I already done that with you. I want what's mine. I want it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I deserve it.
I do find something interesting though that there's obviously a tough issue there with money, which is often leads to horrible things in music. And you guys, even through this, you still speak very respectfully about it. Like, you don't talk crazy. You just kind of express your point.
Yeah.
I've never heard you say anything.
It sounds straight. It's straight business.
Yeah, I've never heard you say anything disrespectful, like it's nasty. It's just kind of like, look, can we get this right?
I guess what's nuts about it is like growing up with some dudes who you still consider your brother. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had things that happen to me and they've had things that happen to them where it's like you'll be the first one there. You know what I'm saying?
Even if the business ain't good.
Yeah, even if the business ain't good. You know what I'm saying? It's like even everything was going on with Wayne, I still take time out to hit him up to be like, hey, dude, you all right? Like, I heard, blah, blah, blah. And, and he'll get right back to me and like, hey, dude, I'm good. And that's good enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you grew up with these dudes. But business is business.
So
what does Wayne have to say about all of it?
I mean, he stays clear of it, which I don't blame him. You know what I'm saying? That's not really his issue. That's that's between me and the Williams brothers.
Any crazy stories from that Cash Money Rough Riders tour? I mean, what was that madness like?
Man, dude, like my man DMX. Yes.
Like, did y'all get along from jump?
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, it was such a random combo at the time.
No, not at all.
Why not?
Oh man, that was the beautiful.
That
tour
honestly,
was beautiful.
To me, how I see it in my mind, that was the two main dudes, Swiss and Mannie Fresh, getting out of the sample era of hip hop into this
new sound,
keyboard, drum machine, and like it was similar how the Rough Riders were like kind of independent in New York and they were independent.
Oh no,
down
you're
there.
right. They're totally comparable. I just meant throwing the guys together. You know what I'm saying? Like from different places.
Dude, we totally got along.
Yeah,
still
I see it as the
great
same.
friends
like,
right now.
Hood
dude.
recognized hood type of shit.
Yeah, we still great friends. Like, you know what I'm saying? At that time, the Locks was on that. You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
who else was
dudes
there?
can come to New Orleans right now
And get love.
Yeah, and get love, get mad love.
Who else was there?
You know
Rough Riders, Locks.
Eve, Swiss, just like he said, DMX. Pretty much the whole Rough Riders family at that time.
There wasn't anyone else outside besides Rough Riders and Cash Money, like openers.
Up?
Yeah, I don't remember if there was other people.
I know at that time Nelly was opening up for a couple of things because they was trying to,
See,
make
there
him
you
or
go.
whatever.
That's one.
But it was just a crazy
Nice of you. Let
that was
Nelly
a crazy
open up.
tour.
Yo, that is wild.
But
a good
and then
old
you got to look at like a lot of cats say, will we ever see that tour again? Like, will we ever see something like that? Because you had the whole helicopter thing, and you had like crazy intros and stuff that you never heard before. And I mean, the dude DMX at his greatest, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
Will you ever have two movements like that?
Exactly.
With huge artists who are at the pinnacle of it. DMX, who may have been the biggest in the game at the moment.
Yep.
God, it's crazy. That's when New York was still so on top that even though there were huge movements other places, the number one guy was still from New York. That was sort of the end of that. I mean, it sort of went away with just Jay, but like that, Jay and DMX are the end of that, really.
50.
50 had a run too. That's right.
Just somebody who was
this
just
guy-
self-contained.
Scott, thanks. Scott's on it.
David, how you say your name?
Davida.
Davida drops his little knowledge pieces every.
Yo, can you fix your name up, make it easier for us Americans? We can't take a name that sounds American with a different letter on it.
I'm just gonna call you David, all right?
Yeah.
David is fine, yeah.
I'm going to go with just Dave. I'm just getting
Dave.
further away.
I'm just honored to be here, man. I'm a huge fan of all you guys. So
Oh,
it's-
really?
You can
Thanks,
call me,
dude.
You could call me like Hubert or whatever.
All right,
like-
Hubert.
What up?
Hubert, that's dope. Hey, he's wearing a Dilla shirt.
Yes.
I would love to get Mannie Fresh's thoughts on Dilla, two people I've never put together.
Dope, dude. Like, that's all I can say, man. Like, it's some cats who never really get, I guess, what's due to them. And I think, like, he's one of those cats who never really got what's due to him. And if you really are a hip-hop fan, like, this dude is dope. Like,
Were you aware at the time? Like, because you guys were contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, dude, New Orleans pretty much mimicked what New York was doing, and a lot of people don't know that. Like, we was really a hip-hop city early on. Like, the music that we took on was anything that was popping around here, that's what we did. So you got the early generation of New Orleans really are they hip-hop heads. So
all of
know.
you guys were always checking for what people were checking for.
There's like an ill underground scene in New Orleans, like
I know.
straight New York hip hop scene shit.
That's super interesting to me.
Because it's like, but then the bounce shit got popular,
Yeah.
and then basically bounce converted into what is now the southern, what was Cash Money
like,
hip hop. You know what I mean?
The crazy thing is, when Hurricane Katrina hit, it pretty much changed the whole culture of New Orleans music because it spread people out, and then when they came back, and I can explain it to you like this. Like, you could still play, before Hurricane Katrina hit, you could still play Run DMC, Peter Piper, Salt and Pepper, I Take Your Man, just old school jams that was just, like you wouldn't play nowhere else, but you could play it in New Orleans, and they would act like it came out yesterday. Something by MC Light or whatever, because we just grew up on those songs and we just loved them so much it's just like, dude, you couldn't go to a party or a club without playing old school hip hop. But when Katrina happened, it just spread all of these people out, and this young generation came back before anybody, and they put their twist on bounce, and that just kind of like made all of that go away.
Damn. So I missed the boat again. I'm going to go back down there now and be like, Mannie Fresh said I should play Sucker MCs.
You could play, dude, before that, like I said, you could play Sucker MCs.
Could you play Super Lover C and Casanova Rudd?
Yes. Man, funny story. When I first met Sway, I told Sway like what his song was, and he was just like, dude, the little 1 or 2, 3 songs I made? And I was like, yes. I'm like, we played those songs in New Orleans.
You knew those records?
Yeah.
Who else was really big from the, like were cats like Redman, Big, Hit Squad, all that shit, DOS Effects?
And the crazy thing is, all of those people came through New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Biggie even came through New Orleans on his way coming up. You know what I'm saying? We know the spot where he did it at and all of that. We was like before he was big, because New Orleans was that city that just embraced like a lot of songs and a lot of artists before they went big.
It's also an incredible music city, just generally.
Yeah, just in general.
So what are you doing right now musically, like this moment?
DJing, dude.
Oh, sorry, don't get ahead for life. You got something else?
No, go ahead, because then we're gonna get into.
I mean, real talk. I'm DJing, and I can explain it. Like, not that I wouldn't do tracks or whatever, but technically, I only think it's probably like 3 dudes that can afford to buy a track from me.
So you,
because I'm just not going, do what's going on right now, and I'll give you some homework on it. It's a lot of young dudes that think the way they gonna get on is just to do placements and sell their soul. And I'm like, this business was set up already for y'all. It was set up for y'all. It was handed to y'all, and y'all screwed it up. You had dudes like Pharrell, Timbaland, Mannie Fresh or whatever that was making money at this. They wasn't giving it to us. We earned the right to get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we were delivering hits. Now you got kids that's like, well, I just want to get on. And I'm like, dude, you giving away something that's precious, something that's like, man, like, dude.
But don't you think it's a hard line? Because I knew a lot of producers who were really, really dope and didn't give away enough early on to get the looks.
Yeah, but I think it's got to be earned. It's got to be earned. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to find somebody in your crew and give that away. You ain't got to go to record companies or whatever. Get your dude on the block that's nice or whatever, and y'all figure out a way how to make yourself stars.
That means you have to really be nice.
Yeah,
because
that's what I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Earn.
Like,
figure out a way to make yourself a star.
Because there are cats like Primo and Pete, we always talk about this, who like the people in their crew weren't always the nicest, but that's how nice they were.
Yeah.
That they'd keep it in house, and the records would still get, like Pete Rock could do the Adore record, and people would still love it. It's like, who the fuck is Adore? It's like, I don't know, but Pete Rock murdered it. And so that's hard. A lot of these guys aren't really as trained the same way, too. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation about, being able to get Pro Tools in your house and become a producer. You know what I'm saying? I made a fucking beat.
Yeah.
I literally made a beat. Was it good? No. But I made one.
But
that's
not
good.
In my generation, what made us dangerous was I only had 3 sounds. And I had to figure out how to twerk those 3 sounds. You know what I'm saying? Now you got so much stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got so much stuff that it could drive you crazy.
It still don't make you talented, though.
Yeah, and it still don't make you talented. But it's like showing up at a gig and there's a DJ and his mixer taped up and he got 2 different turntables. He probably will be the dude that kick your ass.
He had to bust his ass for it.
Because he had to bust his ass for it.
Yo,
who do you like a couple of producers now?
I'm still kind of old school, dude. I mean, I'm gonna stick with Kwame. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, listen,
I saw Kwame last night.
Yeah,
last night.
I mean, every time I come here, I shout out Kwame, dude. I think Kwame was nice.
All right, who else? Who else on your list?
Moby. You know what I'm
So
saying?
you don't listen to nothing now?
I don't really listen to nothing now, dude.
What do you listen to in your
I gotta
car?
play all of these songs.
Hold on, but now I'm interested in hearing just his New York
I gotta
favorites.
play all of these songs, like, you know what I'm saying. But I'm not really
Moved.
Yeah, I'm not really moved, and I can explain it. Not that it's not cool songs, but I think
I know. You ain't got to
a
explain it to me. I
generation
get it.
ago, we had categories in rap. We had the storyteller, we had Public Enemy, we had the pro-black dude, you know what I'm saying? We had the gangster dudes, we had
Party
NWA,
dude.
we had the party dudes and all of that. Right now, we don't have that. It's just one-dimensional.
Yeah.
So who? Let me go back to that though. Moby, Kwame. Who else?
Moby's
you like?
underrated. Never
Underrated.
get shout out.
I would say I still go with Ye, you know what I'm saying? He nice. Just Blaze, of course. You know what I'm saying? Let me see, who else? Who am I forgetting here?
You haven't mentioned.
My main man, Mantronics. I gotta go.
I don't think he's doing much anymore.
Wow, Herbie Lovebug.
Herbie Lovebug.
Yeah.
He had some joints.
Herbie Lovebug had a nice little run. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's incredible. Like, a lot of cats forget dudes like that.
It's very true. Do you obviously love Dre?
Yeah, I love Dre. You know what I'm saying? I think his body of work is incredible. You know, and that was one of the things that happened with Cash Money. You know, we kind of mimicked what Dre was doing. It was all in-house. So that was my thoughts on producing. I was like, well, shit, I need to do it all. I need to, you know what I'm saying? We don't need to go outside our formula. It worked for NWA. It could work for us.
Shit.
Do you think Dre has the best body of work of any?
I would say, as of right now, probably, yeah. You know.
The only problem with Dre is that it's not as much as other people.
You mean
Yeah.
what do you
It's
mean?
so good that it's smaller.
It is smaller. And we also had this conversation. I believe personally, I'd love your input, that Primo's body of work, you know that Primo was hands-on and did every single piece of his beats.
Yeah.
Dre, had people playing, there was some different shit, but his body of work is so impeccable.
Yeah. I guess this is what, the one thing I would probably have to say with Dre. He was great at picking songs that was incredible songs. And, now when you hear him, you like, damn, that ain't, because the dude played the song so good, so you never thought they were samples or whatever. And now, later on, when you get to digging in the crates, you like, well, a lot of Dre songs were just cool songs that nobody never heard.
Yes.
He just went back, replayed
He had a
them.
masterful,
He had a masterful way of finding songs that,
And now with the internet,
Made it.
yeah.
so much
but the
iller.
shit's so easy and available now. Like, now that everyone gets those sample records, like, we've all heard the next episode where that comes. Where at the time you're like, what is this? Like, how did he come up with this?
Exactly. And I was that dude. Every time he came up with something, I was like, damn, like, that's incredible. You know what I'm saying? What made it crazy, I was just blessed to have a dad that was to tell me right then and there what it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Not my dad.
Like, just slap you on your head and like, you stupid fool, you don't know what that is? And I'm like, damn, he didn't make that either.
That's crazy.
Then it's like, not everyone has such a dad, right? So that's a
Yeah.
skill set, like a skill set as well, right? Like picking good records. and
Exactly.
presenting. It's like a DJ in a way.
No, very true, and especially if you find rare samples.
Yeah.
Hubert, how did you fall into hip hop, and how old are you?
I'm 33.
33, my age.
Yeah.
When did you how did you get super
I
into
think
it?
for me it was Wu-Tang, really, for all of us, like, and then it was pretty much New York. Like, it was totally forbidden to listen to any Southern stuff. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, that only happened
back
like,
then?
10 years
In
ago.
Europe, they weren't fucking with it at
Nah,
first.
It was like straight up like forbidden, like completely forbidden.
When
You
did it
weren't
get
allowed to do
trendy
that.
in Europe? When did, with the
I mean,
nerds, when did it get trendy?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, trendy, I would say 2 years ago, but like for us hip hop fans, it was like 10 years ago maybe.
That you
when
started
we-
being like, yo, this
Exactly.
Southern shit actually got some shit in here.
Exactly, and we started to realize, okay, there's really good stuff there, and like obviously like the last 2 years, like all the hipsters, whatever, like they're now listening to that stuff. But for us, it was like 2000 maybe when we started listening to that. But mostly was Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, all that kind of stuff.
And in '93, were you getting shows from people out there too? Were people starting to show up yet, or not till the late '90s did they really start showing
I
up?
remember seeing Wu-Tang in '95.
95.
That was wild.
Where was that?
Crazy. I saw them in Munich.
In Munich?
And it was crazy.
Like
DJ
5,000?
that,
They showed up like 6 hours late or something like that.
That sounds
it was
about
like
right.
yeah.
I DJ'd a party at, the club in Berlin, Tresor.
Oh, of course.
I DJ'd an underground hip hop party in there.
Oh, for
Me
real?
and Camilo.
Tresor? Wow.
Hours. We played for hours. Instrumentals, Primo album cuts, Mobb Deep. Like, it was
Deep cuts. Deep cuts.
for hours. hours.
They love that shit.
We played like 6 hours. Like we kept going back and forth, like just underground. Like we had to play "Come Clean" over and over. Like it was.
Come Clean was huge.
Oh, come
Come
on.
Clean,
That goes without saying.
Like, yeah.
And even like right now, hip hop is in a weird place. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of my gigs are like young, white, preppy kids.
Yeah.
And they know the whole history of hip hop.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
They
saying?
study it more.
Yeah, they study it more. But when you get to that trap party, that's all they want here is that trap. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, before you leave, we have to touch on the whole controversy that was spoken recently, where you said Drake and who else was it?
Wayne.
Oh, Wayne, yeah, are not big timers.
Yes, sir.
It seemed like a very obvious statement, to be honest. No disrespect.
Yeah.
Why did it?
I mean, I think I represented it well. I said I think real talk, and I wasn't, kissing no ass or whatever, but I was like, I think they great artists, but they not big timers. The whole concept of the big timers is some flamboyant, fly, you know what I'm saying, game spitter shit. It's not really on, okay, Drake is nice, dude. He's a rapper. That's what he do. Like, you know what I'm saying? The whole design of the big timers was to say like, hey, dude, this is Superfly meets rap. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He would work as a feature, no doubt. Like, you know what I'm saying? But to say, okay, you're a big timer, and the way I described it before, it was like the Jackson 5 doing an album, a reunion album, but they got Boys to Men to do it. Two great artists, two different eras, but they not the Jackson 5.
Well, let's just be clear. I mean, this is no disrespect to anyone, but it's obvious that if the group was Mannie Fresh and Baby, even though Baby runs shit, he can't on his own unilaterally decide the big timers is actually me, Drake, and Wayne.
Yeah.
That's
and
just
why
not,
even just give it another name if you want to form a group with Drake and Wayne?
on the Wikipedia page for big timers right now. It says members, Baby, Drake, and Wayne.
No Mannie Fresh?
No, you can still see their body of work and everything, but it says I'm sure in the article it says Mannie
Right.
Fresh was in the group, but they're saying there's another group that doesn't even exist yet, preemptively. What's up with your relationship with Kanye? How did that? I started hearing
we
about.
good. I've been knowing Kanye, dude, before he actually got his deal. Like, you know what I'm saying? When he was hunting for a deal.
Well, he reached out to you?
Yeah, he came to Cash Money, and it was this kid, Mickey, from Chicago, who wound up signing to Cash Money, who came with Kanye. And just like I said, it was one of them things just by being a good guy. I let him use my equipment because I thought the dude had something incredible going on when I first heard his production or whatever. And Kanye decided not to stay at Cash Money. It didn't work for him. He went on.
No, well, he likes getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? He went on. The dude, Mickey Stayed, who was Kanye's, that was his artist at the time. And this before anybody even knew of Kanye West.
So are you saying that Kanye? You already know this, Saif?
I never heard
Are you telling me that Kanye could have ended up Cash Money?
Yeah. They actually came down to New Orleans, him and this other guy. Whatever.
How early? Like before he was producing? Like he didn't know Jade stuff yet?
Yeah, he didn't even know Jay yet.
No Rockefeller yet.
No
Pre-Rockefeller. Yeah, he's looking for his deal.
none of that. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
And this was early when all of this, before anybody even heard this sped up sample thing or whatever.
Right.
He came down to New Orleans and this was his style. Played some songs and I was like, dude, this dude got something. And I remember, like, yesterday telling Baby that I was like, dude, this dude right here, I'm like, this shit that he doing with these samples, I'm like, it's going to be incredible. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
So,
Crazy.
and
But did he rap as well? Was he trying to get
nah,
some of the
he
rap
had this guy, Mickey, who stayed from Chicago
He
as
was just
well.
producing.
Yeah, he was just producing it. He was producing for Mickey.
Oh, I
but
see.
they was trying to get a group deal or whatever, to
Right.
make a long story short. But, I mean, like, Kanye has always been the same person from then till now.
Yeah.
Had a ton of questions for Baby them. None of them didn't work. Packed up his stuff and moved on. You know what I'm saying? The other dude stayed.
So he asked questions, didn't like the answers he got.
Didn't
and
like
he
the
did.
answer, and moved on. And the cool thing that happened, the relationship that we built on him coming down there didn't have no equipment. I was like, dude, use whatever you want to use. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, MPC, whatever you want to use or whatever, go ahead, use it. And he said in one of his interviews recently, he was like, I called home and I was telling my dudes, like, man, I'm using Mannie Fresh equipment. I can't believe it, dude. This dude, and we always kind of kept in touch or whatever. And when his first album dropped, he had a party in New Orleans, and this was before even being big. And we was kind of chopping it up, and he was like, dude, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this again. Like, this isn't overwhelming like the way people have embraced me or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you arrived. Like, you are a star. And I hadn't seen the dude prior to that in probably like 7 to 8 years. Know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Wind up bumping into him in California or whatever, and he's like, dude, what are you doing?
This is a couple years ago now.
Yeah, he was like, what are you doing or whatever? I'm like, I'm just DJing or whatever. And he was like, come on, man, just a couple of songs. And it's like, man, just come by the crib, you know? So he was like, do you still do music? And I was like, yeah, I still do music. So I go to his crib, and he was like, play me some beats. So I started playing beats, and he was like, damn, dude, how many beats you got on your iPad? I was like, probably about 200, 300. And he was like, you literally got 200, 300 songs. And I was like, yeah, I make a beat every day. And he was like, you still do this? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, not that. I'm like, I don't have nobody to sell them to. And the crazy thing that happened, like you saying, like it's an internet age, that just jump-started this whole Mannie Fresh thing again. By him going,
How crazy is that?
posting that, you know, like Mannie Fresh just came over here and played me like 200 songs. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, they bangers, dude. Like, you know, he was like, I can't believe this dude really still, to this day, you know, still do songs. And it just started a whole, I guess, another generation, that's his generation right now, talking about Mannie Fresh again.
And so, but did you guys ever collaborate on a song?
Yeah, I mean, I did like all the little drums and all of that on the song with Marshall or whatever on Cruel Summer or whatever, and I still have some songs that's his to do whatever he want to do. You know what I'm saying? Ye wrote the check, and I was like, hey,
These are yours,
yeah,
huh?
do what you want to do with them. Take those.
Really.
Hey, this has been a real treat.
Yeah.
Red Bull Academy, thank you for making this happen and pulling this event together, because this is dope. And Hubert, a.k.a. Davida, pleasure to meet you, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That was very
Pleasure.
cool. Manny,
Yes, sir.
you're the man, bro.
Thank y'all, man. It was a pleasure.
You're the man. I get it.